And we are recording. All right, so go ahead and go full screen for you guys. All right, so this session is called Get Your Feet Wet with Google Classroom. So this session is the bare bones basics of Google Classroom, pretty much how to get started for the very first time. I know in this distance learning, a lot of people have learned Google Classroom and you may already be somewhat familiar with it, but this session is designed for those who are, I haven't even set up my classroom. If you've already kind of started it a little bit already, and you're not familiar with all the features, I'm going to go over all the ones that I in my experience think are the most useful, the ones you can get the most out of. We're not going to have time to go over every single thing, but we will we'll have an idea of what how to kind of, if you're a very first timer, beginner, then you can definitely you'll end the session knowing how to get started. If you've been doing it just for a little bit and you want to learn a little bit more, you'll definitely pick up a thing or two as well. So I'm gonna kind of breeze through these slides pretty quickly and then do like a live demonstration of each thing that's on there, so you can kind of see how to do it. It's one thing to see the screenshots that I have on these slides, but it might be more useful to see the recording later, and you'll see how I did everything. So it's one thing for me to talk about it. The other thing is to see it done. So we'll probably spend the first portion of this going through the slides pretty quickly, and then I'll go through and demonstrate as much as I can from these slides, and then you'll be able to refer to these slides and the video going forward and give you hopefully a solid foundation for Google Classroom. Let's make sure everything's good there. All right, we're good. All right, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Adam Waters. I'm a tech integration coach for grades 6 through 12 for Cutler-Arossi Joint Unified School District. Right here's our logo. I serve 3 of our schools: our middle school, our Arossi High School, and our continuation school. This is the end of now my 15th year here as an educator. First 10, I was a full-time classroom teacher as a World and U.S. History teacher for grades 7, 8, 10, and 11. I spent the last 5 years here on assignment as the tech integration coach. You have my contact information right here. This is my personal email account. You have a link to my website here, and you can find that link on every page on the slide as well, and a link down here below to subscribe to my blog. I'm dropping little nuggets of wisdom a couple times a week of things that I know people could definitely benefit from, especially as we go into distance learning. So let's go ahead and get started here. So in the chat, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here. So what most interested you about this session? What are you most interested in learning? So if I have an idea of what you guys are wanting to learn the most, I can kind of augment the flow of the session to best meet your needs. So take a second, think about that, and type in the chat what you are most interested in learning. Okay, looking for some extras. All right, cool. Looking how to make this learn comprehensive resource students. Okay, tips for best practices. Okay, so all right, good to know. Communicate with parents and students. So actually, let me write some of these down here. I can definitely augment all of these. So let's see, we have some extras. Communicate with parents and students. Things manageable. Good, that's a good word. Let's see here. All right, so what I've put together here is pretty much, it sounds like most of you have some kind of familiarity with Classroom already. Kind of the slides that I put together are pretty much for people who are brand new. I just need to learn how to actually sign up for Google Classroom for the first time, set up my classroom. I'm not sure I don't think I need to demonstrate all of that, but I can definitely show things in the next, 40 minutes or so, how to do, from my experience, all these things, such as some little extra tips, some best practices, ways to communicate with both parents and students, and kind of just to be more, make it more manageable. So yeah, I can definitely do all those things. I wrote these down on my little whiteboard here so I can definitely customize this for your needs. So we have organizing matrix. Okay, so manageability and organizing assignments. I can definitely customize everything. So what I'm going to do real quickly is go brief, just kind of fly through the slide deck here. Thank you for your input here. That definitely allows me to kind of support your needs better. Again, I ask these questions because if you guys aren't first timers, then definitely what I have here on the presentation probably would not be worth your while. So I can definitely kind of go off the cuff here and help you guys out. So I'm going to go pretty quickly through this, and you might pick up a thing or two. If something you want me to pause and rewind and do it and speak out again, please call me out by unmuting your mic or drop it in the chat. So I'm going to go through the slides one time pretty quickly, and then I'll go through all the things that I've seen you guys put here in the chat. All right, so again, for those people who are getting started for the first time, maybe you are supporting teachers who are in that realm where they're first timers. You just tell them simply go to this web address right here, classroom.google.com, or they can find it in their waffle. And the first time that they do it, they're going to have to sit there and make sure they have the correct account selected before they click continue. When they get started, here's something that I've dealt with as a tech coach a lot. The first timers, sometimes they'll click I'm a student, and they have only the student view, which means they can't create a classroom, they can only join. So definitely something that they need to be aware of if you're supporting teachers who are first timers in this. And if they ever do this, you need to refer them to or send a message to who's ever in charge of your Google domain, their Google admin, for them to change them from a student account to a teacher account. If they don't know how to do it, you can send me a quick email and I'll walk them through the steps. I've done this many times. So setting up your first classroom, so when people go to Google Classroom for the first time, they've already signed in. They click that plus button, and then they would hit create class. That would be the first step there. For them, you'd have to name your class. That's what's required. The rest are all optional right here. But you can put like a name of the class, your period, your subject, your room number. Again, all optional stuff. This is what is most important here before clicking create. When it comes to now getting kids into your classroom, there's two ways to do this. You have to once you have set up your class, you have these tabs up here as a teacher: the stream, classwork, people, and grades. To get kids in, you tell them they need to go to the people tab, and then once they are in the people tab, they're going to see two categories: teachers and students. So over here, they're going to click this button here to invite students through email. And when they click that email button to invite students through email, they'll type in the name or the email address of their students. And then when they would click on it here to select them, and then they would click invite and then that student would get an email invitation to that classroom. All I have to do is click on the link in there to join the classroom. The other way, probably the most common way, this is the way you would do it if you were teaching kids live like we were before the quarantine. The most common way, usually the first couple of days of school, the teacher would go to Google Classroom. They would be projecting on their screen, or they write the code on the board. But to get to their Google Classroom access code, they would click on their settings right here, go down where it says class code. If they click on there, they can do display and project it on the screen, or they can write this down on the whiteboard for kids to join. So again, another useful tip for if you are supporting teachers who are first timers. So if you invite a co-teacher, this is actually a good idea if you have a partner teacher, or if you're working with the co-teaching model with SPED teachers and you have them as co-teachers. The same way that you invite the students by clicking that little button here, you click the one up here to teachers to add to invite a co-teacher through email. and it looks the same as it did, oops, too far, as it did when you invited the students. It works the same way. Type in their name or email address. When their result pops up, click on it, click invite, and then you can invite that teacher as a co-teacher. Co-teachers cannot archive or delete the class. Only the originator of the class can do that. So if you have a co-teacher, they can edit assignments, they can add assignments, they can assign grades just like you can. The one thing they can't do is delete the class. There we go. All right, so the first thing we'll take a look at here is the stream. So again, the first of the 4 tabs you have across the top when you're in your classroom is a stream. I like to call this like, think of the stream as a kind of like a Facebook feed for your classroom. So the way I set things up in my stream is that I only use this for announcements. I know by default it's set up in any announcement I put will show up in the stream. Any assignment that I put will also show up in the stream. So the stream gets very clogged, and we'll talk about how to unclog it in a second. But using the stream is where you want to post class announcements. And this is a good idea because every time an announcement is posted, kids get an email. And if they have the app on their phone or a tablet, it'll pop up as a notification. So it's a good way to really have a robust communication link with loop with students. So to send an announcement, when you would click right here, share something with your class, click in there and you start typing. So here's an example right here of a sample announcement. With my announcement, I can attach right here by clicking add a file from Google Drive, a link to a website, a file I have saved on my computer, or a YouTube video, and then I click post, and then it'll show up in the classroom. So we're in the stream, and this is what it would look like after I posted it. So I actually put a sample of having a YouTube video on this one. So I talked earlier about how your stream can get very clogged up. It's really easy to do, but because the default, anything that you post, whether it's an announcement or if it's an assignment, will show up in the stream. So what I do, I click here, right here, where in the settings. When I go back to my settings, and where it says Classwork on the stream, by default it says right here, show condensed notifications. That means everything's going to show up. So what I do is I change it to hide notifications, meaning only my announcements will show up in the stream. And then so kids know if I need to see my work, I go to Classwork. If I want to see class announcements, I go to the stream. They keep them kind of separate. I know a lot of times kids, if you have this default setting right here set, kids will start looking for their assignments through the stream, and it gets clogged up with all the other assignments. It gets clogged up with all the other announcements. It's harder for kids to find things. So I always recommend that teachers set this setting right here, hide notifications, and then they go up to the top right, click save. And let me show you what that looks like in a real classroom. Let me pull up one of my real ones here. All right, so if you look right here, this is a class that I teach. These are actually, all you see is announcements that I've been giving students since we've been in quarantine. You don't see any of my assignments. All my assignments are in Classwork. So kids right here, they know if I need to go to class, see my assignments, I go here. If I need to see what my teacher's announcements, I go here. If I go to my settings, you can see where it says hide notifications. Watch what happens when I put it back to show condensed notifications. Let's see. Then you'll see that all my assignments get put in there. Every time I start posting assignments, there's more assignments. It goes in there and it clogs everything up. So when I go back to my settings and I hit show condensed notifications and I switch it to hide notifications and I save it, now it eliminates all those assignments from the stream and it just shows my announcement. So that really helps with the kind of organize things for students. So something I definitely wanted you guys to take a look at, and hopefully that helps. So are students notified when you add classwork? Yes, they are. So students do get an email every time that you post an assignment. or if you post an announcement or anything in Classroom, they will get an email. And like I said earlier, if they have the app on their phone and or tablet, then they'll get a pop-up notification as well. So I always encourage kids to make sure they have that app on their phones and tablets to make sure that they're getting at least 2 notifications for everything to make sure that the message is getting through. Great question there. So the Classwork tab is next. So we talked about the stream earlier. That's more for announcements and communication. Classwork is where you're going to be posting assignments and activities where students will be submitting work or demonstrations of learning. If you want kids to turn things in, this is where you go. You don't post an assignment stream, you do it in the Classwork. That's where kids are going to be turning in their work. So you start by clicking the create button right here. It's big blue, you can't miss it. And then when you click create, you have this menu here. You can choose assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, reuse post, and topic. These are all things that you can create in the Classwork. I'm going to be going over in details today how to do the assignment, how to do question and material. Quiz assignment and reuse post. They're kind of cool. Like what this does is it creates a Google form for you. Reuse post, if there's an old assignment that you want to redo again, you can pull an old assignment from any classroom that you own and repost it again for a class that you are doing currently. But for the time's sake, we're going to focus today on assignment, question, and material. So the first one here we'll take a look at is the assignment. So if I chose this one right here, here's kind of the anatomy of it all. This is probably the one you're going to be doing that people would use the most. So first thing, you have to give it a title. Instructions are optional, but always a good thing, especially when you're doing with, I deal with a lot of English learners. So I put my instructions in both English and Spanish right there. You can add a variety of file types for Google Drive. You can throw a link to a website that may have something to do with the assignment. You can attach a file from your computer or drop a YouTube link as part of the assignment. With the create button, let's say that you want to create some kind of slide presentation for this assignment that you want the kids to see. You can create it right from here. You don't have to create it beforehand, and it'll be attached automatically to your assignment. Or if you have it already pre-made, you simply click Google Drive and then you would attach it. Over here on the right side, little toolbar, you can right here, you can click here. If you click here, it's going to show you all the classes that you have. So let's say you're teaching 5 periods of ELA and it's all the same kind of class. You can assign this assignment to multiple classes at once, saving you a lot of time. Right here's where you would assign your point value, add your due date, and you also can organize by topic. And I'll go over that in a couple slides ahead about how to organize that, how to organize with a topic. Okay, so next here, going over the Classwork assignment is something that you're going to get a lot of mileage out of when you are using a Google Classroom. So I think to my career before Google Classroom, before Google Classroom, especially as a history teacher, I spent lots of time at the copier, printing out handouts that I would pass out to kids. And just think how much time that took. Google Classroom has eliminated all that time and cut it down into seconds. So let's say, for example, I have a template that I want kids to write on. And instead of printing out these templates for kids to write on, if I have it in Google Docs, I can attach the Google Doc. Let's say here's a sample right here. I call for a 5-paragraph essay. And I tell the kids, use the attached template to write your essay. So if I have that in my Google Drive already set up in Google Docs, I would click Add, select Google Drive. It opens up my drive. I find that template right here. I would select it and add it. And then over here, I have my permissions that I can choose. Do I want kids just to view the file? Do I want them to edit the file? Or do I want to make a copy for each student? If I had put view file, all they can do is look at the template. They can't do anything with it. If I click students can't edit, it means every kid is going to edit at the same time my template, and they're going to mess my original up. But right here, here's where the money is right here. Make a copy for each student. This is one that you can get. Oops. My mouse is going haywire. Hold on. Oops. There we go. And this is where you're going to get a lot of mileage out of. Make a copy for each student. So if you select this one right here, it's like you passed out a handout to each kid with their name on it already in an instant. Every kid, it was assigned to them, and they're going to get a notification. When they get that notification, then they can open it up and they can start typing away. And the cool thing is when you do it with Google Docs, there is a turn in button on the Google Doc, on their version, where the kids can simply click turn in when they're done. So it saves you so much time. Just think of all the time we spent over the years. You know, you have the stack of copies in your hand and you pass them out to each kid. How much class time does that take? You're done with that in seconds using Google Classroom. So here's kind of an example of what it looks like when the kids turn it in. So what we have right here, when I open up the assignment to start grading the kids' work, when they've turned in their assignment, I can click on any kid's work right here. Click on any one that I want, and when I click on it, and I can see that kid's work here. And this is actually a meme activity we did with Google Slides a couple of years. This is an old one from a few years ago. Yeah, so I can sit there and I can review all their slides that they made. I can drop in some comments to it, and I can give them a grade as well. Let's see. So we have a question here. Let's see. Is there a way Google Classroom will stop students from turning in if they haven't actually done the assignment? Yeah, that is a common issue. You know, I have not come across a way that you can do that where they mark it as turned it in. That definitely is some feedback we need to give to Google. So yeah, I would definitely.
It's really no.
Sorry. So Google's pretty good at getting feedback. That's definitely one that I know people are kind of frustrated with. I myself, even today, I'm getting kids are turning their work with nothing done on it. So definitely some feedback we need to give students. Can we leave audio feedback? You know, there are some good extensions and add-ons to Google Docs and Google Slides that you can do audio feedback. So they're not built into Google Classroom as of yet. That's something definitely that I believe is on the horizon. But there are Chrome extensions that you can add from the Chrome Web Store for free to go ahead and leave audio feedback. So great question there. So next we'll move on to the classroom question. So this is one of my favorites. Classroom question. This is one of the newer features. It's been around for maybe a little more than probably a year and a half to 2 years now. And classroom question, I like doing this because if you've ever taken an online course, you know, for college credit, what happens, a big portion of that is doing the message board. So when I was doing my master's, every week we had our lesson that we had to do our reading, and then we had the professor would give us a prompt that we had to post on the message board and then respond to multiple classmates. So the question function here in Google Classroom, so if you were to click when you're in Classwork and you click create and you choose question, what that will allow you to do is kind of create. One thing you can do with that is create like a threaded discussion where kids are having some kind of academic discussion on Google Classroom. It kind of simulates the whole message board. Not exactly the same as something like Canvas or Blackboard, but it is similar, and it's good. I think it's a great activity to get kids kind of used to doing that. So when they do start taking online courses in college, and that's definitely going to be much more of a reality for this current generation of kids in school. Definitely it's going to prepare them for that. Another way that I use the classroom question is can be used as an exit ticket. I use it for summative assessment. A lot of the assessments that I like to do are constructed response. So if I do here's a sample that I wrote today when I was finalizing these slides here. Here's a question: who shot Kennedy? Obviously that one's a pretty that's up for debate. So I put some instructions here. Use your notes to answer this question. Please write at least 4 sentences in your own words and reply to at least one classmate who may have a different opinions. So maybe they think it's the CIA, maybe they think it's Lee Harvey Oswald. Who knows who they think it is? Maybe it was Elvis. You never know. So I mean, this is just a sample, obviously, but this is a great option for having students respond to a prompt and fellow classmates like in a message board. So it's very much the same anatomy as a Google Classroom assignment. You have the add and create button where if you want to add some other files or links to it to help them with that question, you can. And by default, it's a short answer. If I was to click here, I could also do a multiple choice as well. But for some kind of a constructive response or an exit ticket where I just give them a prompt and I want them to reply to it, question is going to be, it could be your best friend here. So if you take a look here, I can assign points to it, set my due date, I can assign a topic. But right here is something you want to be cognizant of, right here where it says students can reply to each other. If you want kids to have that message board experience, you would want to make sure this stays checked. If you don't want them to, if you want to be it's just sort of maybe an exit ticket where they just reply and then you're the one that's going to see it, just the teacher, then you would leave this unchecked. Here's an option if you want kids to be able to edit their answer, to go back later and change their answers. That's up to you. If you want to give them that option right here, you would check that if you want them to be able to go back at a later time and do it. Another thing that I don't think I mentioned on the assignment, but it's the same here, is that by default, if I was to assign an assignment or post this question, if I click here, it will give me a list of all my students that are in the class. And then from there, let's say if I want to differentiate my instruction, maybe this assignment is just for a certain group of kids, I can click there and then check mark the kids that I want them to use this, and then only they will see it in Google Classroom. The rest of the students won't see it. So you can definitely, on anything you post in Classroom, you can select, by default it's all, or you can select certain ones. So if you need to differentiate your instruction, this is a great little tool right there. So this is kind of here what it looks like. I think I did a better job here of blocking out the kids' names. I made a few mistakes earlier. So anyways, oops, my mouse is going haywire. What the heck? All right, almost. There we go. All right, back to it. So here's kind of what it looks like. Again, this is an older class our question here. Let's see, can you click students reply to each other even if the settings in the classroom are set to only private comments? I know students will spend a lot of time doing the chat and get distracted. So I basically can only message me. Yes, yeah, you should be able to, if you set it in the question that they can reply to each other, that definitely will be an option. But again, if you're having that problem where the kids are chatting, off topic, definitely. Again, you have to know your kids. If your kids can't handle it, definitely that may not be an assignment that you would want. I definitely have come across that in my experience as well. So again, the settings could be different classroom to classroom based on your kids. That's definitely that's a great comment there. So oops. On this one right here, so when I open up the assignment on the teacher end, I can then see all the different ones that the students have, there's different answers that students have posted. This is an example here where it wasn't a threaded discussion, but let's say that a student had replied to this assignment or this post right here. If there was any replies, you would see them kind of indented here below, and I could see which kids replied to it. If that was part of my assignment where I'm giving kids credit for replying to each other, I can see exactly what they said and who said it according to this this post here, and that goes for everyone that has been turned in. So this screenshot here kind of shows you how that works. Next one here is classroom material. So the material, the reason why you would use a material, like, well, what might that be, is that you would use a material if you are simply sharing a resource such as Quizlet or Flipgrid with students. A material should not be used if you're having kids submit work. You're just sharing with them something. So you may ask, well, couldn't I just do that with my, in the stream of the announcement? You totally could. But the reason why I use material is as I show you, excuse me, later when I when I show you about the topics here, I use the topics to organize materials and questions and assignments by lesson or by unit or by chapter. And if there's materials that I want kids to have access to that are by chapter or lesson or unit, then I use material so it stays with all the other assignments and questions, etc., for that topic. So that's why a reason why you may use material. So an example, let's say that you're using things like Quizlet or Flipgrid, two of my favorite apps out there. So for pretty much every lesson I do, I have a Quizlet study set and a Flipgrid for kids to kind of respond verbally to what they've learned. So if I want to share a Quizlet study set on right here, World War II Pacific Theater, I would simply give it a title, tell them what I expect them to do with it, and then they would, when they get their assignment, they would click here and they would be able to go to Quizlet and practice their vocabulary. They're not turning in with the material. The kids aren't turning in any work. You're not collecting work or material, but you're sharing with them. And instead of putting it in the stream, where it eventually gets pushed down to the bottom as you post more and more things, you can keep it in Classwork where it's organized with other assignments that are part of the same topic or unit or whatever you want to call it. So you can then, if you notice here, you don't have as many options here. You can set it for multiple classes, certain students, and then you can set the topic, but there's no grades or due dates on a material. So again, one more time, it's if you're sharing like a link to it could be a video on YouTube, it could be a Quizlet, a Flipgrid, Edpuzzle, Nearpod, Pear Deck, you name it, whatever kind of little activity you want them to access that where they're not turning in work to Google Classroom. That's the purpose of material. Let's see here. So next here for the classroom topic, this is another relatively new idea here that's probably in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. It's one of the newer features of Google Classroom. It wasn't an original feature of Classroom, but teachers definitely wanted it. So what the topic is, when you come to your in the Classwork tab, you click Create, you can select Topic. And what the topic is, as you can see right here, here's a sample that I created earlier today where it says week 1. So these are assignments for week 1. And then I also created a topic for week 2. So when I'm doing a week 2 unit, all the assignments that I want for week 2, when I create those materials, those questions, those quizzes, those assignments, if I go back, oops. When I click topic, I can choose a topic. So if I'm creating multiple, if I've created multiple topics, I click there, look at all the ones that I've created, I can choose that topic. And when I choose that topic, it'll then show up underneath each one. And the cool thing about this is that I can drag and drop these, I can move them, I can reorder them. So if I grab week 1 and I drag it up, then all of them follow it up with here. So it's a great way to organize your classwork for yourself as a professional, and to really help kids be able to find things. So I know one of the things you guys put in the chat was something about, let's see, organization and manageability. Topic is probably going to be one of the best features for doing that. So a tip that I like to give people is to create a topic called resources. So let's say you have a class website or a class blog, or you have maybe a how-to video for how to do something that you want kids to have quick, easy access all the time, but you don't want to put it in the stream where it gets lost in all the announcements. So what I'd like to do is create a topic called resources that I keep always pinned to the top right here. It's always at the top, and it's a list of links to different things that I want kids to have quick, easy access to all the time. So on mine, I have a link to my class website. I'll have a link to how to join quizzes, to join Quizlet, so they can just go there, boom, and when I give them the codes to join different online games, then they just click there, put their code, and they're in. So I don't have to be sharing with them these links. They know I just go to Classwork, the teacher has the resources right there, and if I say, okay, we're doing quizzes today, they'll see there's a link to quizzes, they click it, and they wait for me to share the code. So that's definitely a best practice that I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and do. Let's see. So you can also create a Classwork topic within an assignment. So let's say you're starting a new assignment. Let's say I'm doing my week 3 and assignment. So I'm setting everything up here. And when I get over here to topic, I have week 1, week 2, but I want to do week 3. If I click create topic, I can create a brand new one right then and there. I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it from the create button right here. I can also do it from an assignment that I'm starting for the first time. So that definitely helps with your organization. So one of the great things about Google is that they give you multiple ways to do everything. Sometimes maybe too many gets a little annoying, but they do give you a variety of ways to do everything. All right, here we have, is it possible to create labels and organize past postings? Let's see, yes, so I think what you mean by labels is what we would say is topics. You can go back and old ones, and you can add a topic to old postings. So you know what, let me go ahead and show you how that's done. That's a great question. Let's see here, let's get out to my different classes here. Great question here. Let me pull up one of my other sample classes. All right, so great question. So if I go to Classwork, so let's say, for example, I have this flip grid right here that I want, or this assignment right here, and you know what? It's not week 1. I want to make it to a different topic here. So if I go to the edit button, I can go over here where it says topic, and I can change it. So maybe I want to put it to this one, and then when I save it, it's no longer in this one. It used to be in this topic. Now it's here. So you can, if you have an assignment like these right here who have no topic, well, I can go here, I can edit this one, this assignment, and I can assign it to a topic and reorganize. So you can definitely go back and reorganize your, let's see. Definitely go ahead and reorganize your topic. So hopefully I answered that question for you. There we go. So one of the newest things here is integration of Google Meet. This is one of the newest things. Ever since we got into the quarantine, the distance learning has taken off. Google Meet has been there for a lot longer people than realize. It's been there for almost 2 years, and now they're like, oh man, we need to keep up with Zoom. So Google Meet has now been integrated into Google Classroom. If you were to go to create Google Classroom right now and go look at it, you'll see this Meet link right here that you can turn on and off. So the cool thing about this is that this Google Meet, only the students who are enrolled in your classroom, only they can actually, only they are able to actually join the Meet. They could try to share this link with a kid in a different class, but they wouldn't be able to join it. Only the kids who are actually enrolled in that classroom, who are in that people tab that you've invited, only they can actually join it. So that it makes it a very, it does give you a measure of security. You don't have to worry about quote unquote Zoom bombers when you have using this Google Meet. And you may be wondering, well, what if if I leave it turned on and kids just join whatever? Yeah. So the thing is, you don't have to have it always turned on. You only turn on when you're ready. So for example, in the sample announcement I put here, video call today at 10 a.m. So for me, I have my 3-minute rule where 3 minutes before, I'm going to go in and turn the Google Meet on so kids have time to go ahead and join. I don't want to leave it on too far ahead of time or have me sitting there monitoring kids. So 3 minutes early, I'm going to go turn it on. I'm going to be there waiting for kids. To do so, you click on the settings up here. In your settings, you go down where it says Meet, and then you'll have to turn this on here, visible to students. By default, it's turned off. You toggle it on, click Save, and then the kids will be able to see it. So when you're done doing your Google Meet, so if you're not familiar with Meet, it's like Zoom for Google. You're done with your Meet, it's all done. You go back into your settings, you turn it off, and it kicks every kid out. There's no kids. You don't have to worry about kids kind of sitting around and doing things inappropriately, unmonitored. If you were to leave, it will kick everybody out. So once you turn that off and you leave the meeting, everyone's gone. So there's no worrying about kids kind of sticking around and doing things inappropriate. So this is one of the newest features and one that we've been clamoring for, and Google has granted us this great little tool here. One last things we'll show you here. The time has actually flown by a lot faster than I expected. And again, I'm hoping I'm getting to all your questions. Notifications. So a couple things that you want to know. When kids turn things in, Google Classroom could really blow up your inbox, because you're going to get, when kids are turning things in late, leaving comments, private comments, all these different things, they could really blow up your inbox. So if you don't want your inbox blowing up with notifications from your students, simply you go to what's the 3 lines at the top left corner of Google Classroom. Google officially calls it the hamburger, no joke. The hamburger menu, you click it, and it shows you a list of all the classes that you have, whether you're a student or a teacher. And then you go down to settings. In your settings, you scroll down, and you're going to see notifications. So if you're like, I don't want email notifications, I'll just go check myself, you can toggle this off, and you won't get any emails from Google Classroom. Maybe you want some. Maybe you just want it when kids turn things in late. You have a lot of options right here that you can turn different ones on and off. So this again is completely gives you some control. Maybe you have a class right here where it says class notifications. Down here below, there would be a list of all the classrooms that you teach or are a student of, and maybe you want notifications from some and not the others. You can then turn certain classes on and off. And that could definitely help with your workflow, and definitely not make your Gmail inbox so cluttered at times. And Google Classroom definitely can be a cluttering agent, so to speak. So, wow, the time went by pretty quickly. So one last thing is grades. This is not one that I use often, but it is there. Every time you assign a grade to a student within Google Classroom, the grades tab, which is the 4th one there across the top, you'll see each kid's name, and then going backwards in time, the different assignments that you put, and you can go in there and actually assign grades through here, or see any grade that you've given students. So one that I don't use often, but it's definitely there for you, and I wanted to point that out very briefly here in our brief overview here of Google Classroom. So we got one more minute here. I don't want to keep you guys late, but again, my name's Adam Waters. When you have a session with me, you have free tech support for life. So you have my contact information right here. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I always respond within 24 hours. I hold myself to that. So I definitely, there's so many things that happen with Google Classroom. I do my best to stay on top of it. And if you have questions, honestly, feel free to reach out to me. I'll do my best to support you going forward. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm going to stop the